It's podcast day. It's podcast day. Welcome in. Knitted things I want to tell you about, and I need to find the names of them, so I'm going to look them up. Welcome in, friends. Welcome to the heyBrownBerry podcast. I am Mars, and I welcome you here. Thank you for coming by my channel to see what I'm up to. I'm up to quite a bit, and as usual, really happy to share what I'm doing with you. I'm just going to record some very short, simple check-in podcasts. My aim is to do a few of these before the end of this year, 2020. I am working on living up to some of my own goals, and one of those goals is to continue using this podcast channel as a creative outlet. And a lot of times I stop myself from recording because I love the production value of a good podcast episode, and if I don't feel I can create that, it often keeps me from doing anything at all. So for the next couple of short mini episodes, I will just be sharing with you. That will be the goal, and hopefully that encourages you to share with me too. So in this few minutes, I wanted to just come on and talk about a couple of the things I'm wearing, invite you to a make-along that's starting in the new year, and share with you a work in progress. So what I have on, let's start from the top. Take it from the top. I've got on a hat by my favorite designer, who is Woolly Wormhead. I will post links all about Woolly Wormhead and her designs in the description box for this video. This is one of my favorite hats to wear for multiple reasons. First is the color. I will put the details about this yarn in the description box as well. It's a neutral color. It is an undyed wool. It is wonderfully sturdy and soft. And I have made the Half Theory hat. This is a Woolly Wormhead design that I tried because of the texture. I want to highlight that. On the side, well, I wear it to the side. On the side of the hat, there's this gorgeous twisted stitch texture. And other than that, the hat is very simple. Some ribbing, a nice slightly slouchy crown, and it just lets this yarn's properties shine. I'm a huge fan of things that are simple and elegant and useful all at once. So yeah, a little bit of texture, some good yarn, and the Half Theory hat is everything you need for an instant favorite. I hope you'll check it out, and I'll talk a little bit more about Woolly Wormhead's designs in a minute. My shawl is the Amulet Shawl by Helen Stewart, who is known as Curious Handmade. Helen is someone that I've met in person and actually spent a good amount of time with at fiber retreats and have a huge appreciation for. She's a great person, but she is a gifted designer. This Amulet Shawl is actually one of my first ever beaded projects. I've used an alpaca yarn with some nice halo to it. And the shawl has beading towards the edge and border. This was an optional element, but I wanted at the time to challenge myself to try knitting with beads. And I actually ended up enjoying it even more than I expected. I use a beading technique that's bead as you go, using a tiny crochet hook, a crow hook it's called, to apply the beads to a stitch right before you complete the stitch, and that made it so enjoyable. And it's got a huge wingspan on it, and wearing it this way, sort of bandana style, gives me that perfect chest coverage and a little bit of a glimpse of the beads as I'm wearing it. Love, love, love. I knit quite a few of Helen Stewart's shawls, and I can recommend them. Her pattern format is impeccable. It actually sets you up to know exactly how much yarn you'll need to complete a shawl, and she's got this great system that lets you check in on your progress for each section as you go. Highly recommend that. So I've got these on because it's a little bit cooler in South Florida today than our usual. We actually had the coldest Christmas Eve in decades yesterday. Our temperatures got down to down into the 30s Fahrenheit, so close to freezing temperature Celsius, and I'm loving every second of it. I'm happy to wear my woolens in the house. So that's what I've got on. What I am working on, one of the things I'm working on was a Christmas Eve cast on. I got the urge to cast on a new project, 2 projects on Christmas Eve. I actually talked about the projects that I chose and the yarns I was considering on an Instagram TV, an IGTV live. If you are a follower of mine on Instagram and you go over to the heyBrownBerry account, you can see that video. I saved it on IGTV, and I got some great participation from wonderful people in the community helping me kind of process what I wanted to do for that Christmas Eve cast on, and I was motivated and I got going. So one of my cast ons is a design by one of my absolute favorite people, Maria. I lovingly refer to Maria as my wool wife, and she's one of my best friends, and it's really easy for me to sink into making one of her designs. About a year, a bit more than a year ago, I made her Seer cloak. She came out with the Seer collection, which is a wonderfully warm, woolly, wearable hug called the Seer cloak, and a hat and a pair of mittens to match. So I decided that I was going to go to my queue and pick a cast on, and I picked the Seer hat. So my printout here is in black and white, which I think when you're doing color work like this is not a bad idea if you are going to print it out, just to see in the original what the contrast is between colors. I also don't use a color printer for this kind of thing, and I tend to print out patterns that I am likely to use more than once. So then I feel like there's more value in the paper. I also tend to print on both sides of the page, even if it means having 2 different patterns combined. I digress. I wanted to make the Seer hat. I love everything about it. I've really gotten into color work knitting this year because I think I've finally settled into a technique that I love, which is knitting one color with my left hand and one color with my right. And I've done some color work on socks and a cowl this year, and I'm really enjoying that. So I cast on that hat, and I don't think I have all of my colors here. That's okay. You'll see them in the project. Here's the beginning. You can see the colors I'm using. I apologize, I have an escaped yarn ball. Here's the beginning of my Seer hat. I'm using my signature favorite color, red, along with some yellow hand spun and a gray wool. Already loving this. I'm about 20 rows into the color work chart, and I feel like I'm going to make a lot of progress on this again today. I started it on Christmas Eve. I worked a little bit on it yesterday, Christmas Day, and I really want to tuck into it today. Maria's pattern is so easy to follow. She gives you the basics. She gives you exactly what you need. And I feel like with color work, the beauty of it is the creativity is a combination of the designer's ideas and concepts and instruction and your own color sense. I really wanted to use up some hand spun, and so This American wool is my hand spun, which this is unblocked, but you know, it's thick and thin in places. It's not the smoothest. But because it's being used as an accent color, that doesn't matter. It doesn't show up any worse for the wear in there. The other yarns, the main color yarn, this red is Uradale or Uradale. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is a yarn that I purchased at a fiber festival. Remember when we used to travel to places to squish wool and hug our friends? That was great. I love that. I purchased this and fell in love with this kind of woolen spun. Oh, let's see. Sorry, friends. We'll get there. We'll get there. I fell in love with this woolen spun, loosely plied yarn. And of course, I love the color. This color is called Self-Heal Heather. I mean, that's fantastic for a colorway name. And then I'm also using this Navia yarn. That's the brand name. And Navia is a new to me yarn brand. I purchased this from my friend Paige the framer from the Frame and Fiber shop in New Jersey. And I was able to squish this when I visited her in February of this year and just fell for it. It is 100% pure new wool. This is an undyed gray, and I believe it's Faroese yarn. Hopefully I'm not misleading you. I'm looking at the label. Yes, Faroese natural yarn. And in my opinion, it makes a fantastic contrast to this deep soulful red color. Super enjoying this work in progress. Did you do a Christmas Eve cast on? Can you tell me about it? Share in the comments if you did, or if you considered it, or maybe you're doing a New Year's Eve cast on. I'd love to hear what you're working on. So I'll keep tucking into that today. And the last thing I'll share with you in this little mini episode is relative to hats and Woolly Wormhead. I am moderating for the 6th year in a row the Woolly Dozen Hat Knit-Along. Now the Woolly Dozen allows us to aim to make 12 Woolly Wormhead hat patterns, and that's over the course of 12 months. We've run this for 6 years in a row through the Woolly Wormhead Ravelry group. We are also running it through the Woolly Wormhead Facebook group, as well as on Instagram by use of a hashtag, and I'll put that hashtag on the screen, Woolly Dozen 2021. I've posted on my Instagram account some of the details, and I'll actually copy the details about the knit along into the description box as well. But the gist is that we're going to aim to make 12 hats over the course of the year, and using Woolly as the central designer is very easy because she has published, I think, over 300 hat patterns over the course of many years. And so there is guaranteed to be a hat style that you will fall in love with, either for you or for someone you'd like to gift one to. It's a very loose knit along in the sense that you're not required to knit a hat a month. You can knit several at one time. You don't even have to do a dozen. It's really about participating with a group of people that just love good pattern work. And yeah, I'm happy to be a moderator for Woolly Online as well as a super fan. I've actually been knitting her hats for 12 years exactly. My first one I knit in 2008. And I would love to have you join us in that effort if it's something that you think you'd be into. Hats are quick, hats are portable, hats are giftable. They're great stash busters as well. That's part of the reason I can easily pick up a hat project and get it started, is because I can almost always find something in my stash that I can use. Join us if you'd like. Woolly Dozen. That's it, friends. That's my check-in for today. I'm very, very grateful that I can just turn on the camera and reach out to you in this way. I hope you'll reach back out to me as well. My wish for you is that if you had a very busy Christmas week, that today and the days going forward are smoother and more manageable. If you're not celebrating, or if things are not what they once were for you at this time of year, I'm sending you a hug. I am extending you some understanding, and I'm wishing for you that looking ahead, things are brighter. Thanks for being here as always, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.